Welcome to Section 1 of Chapter 6. We will start things off by reviewing the structure of commercial contracts.
As we go through this, understand that every contract's a little bit different. It may be in a little bit of a different order. It might have different paragraph headings, and that's okay. We're going to hit the highlights. The state of Colorado requires that every contract have a cover page. As you can see here, it's a page or two, and it gives you some of the just basic information about the contract. How you're going to be paid, for example, how long the contract is, stuff like that. And you'll want to pay attention to that and then read the contract. Usually, a contract will begin with what your name is, the practice name. Make sure the practice name is correct. If your practice ends with PC, make sure it says PC. If it ends with LLC, make sure it says LLC. Be sure it's accurate to your legal name. Okay, let's get started. So, oftentimes there'll be a table of contents. There may be a list of exhibits. That's okay. The first section of every contract tends to be an explanation of why are we doing this. In this particular contract, it's several paragraphs that start with the words whereas. So what they're telling you is, why are we doing this? Why are we getting together on this contract? What is it that we're trying to accomplish? Most contracts have a section called definitions or something like that. In definitions, you want to read the definitions. You're going to need those definitions as you go along. In this particular contract, there's a definition for covered services. That's really important. Not so much for what is covered, but often for what is not covered, because not everything you do will be covered by the health insurance plan. You're going to want to know what is covered and what is not covered. The next section in this contract is responsibilities of the provider. You're going to want to read this section very carefully. It will tell you what your responsibilities to the health plan and to the member of that health plan are. As you can see in this contract in Section 3, it's responsibilities of the plan. So they're going to list what their responsibilities are to you as the health plan. There may be other sections in the contract about marketing, dispute resolution. That's important. In this contract, Section 5 is about dispute resolution. How do we work together? In this contract and in most contracts, there's a clause called arbitration, and we'll get to that in a minute. Then, Section 6, payment and billing. They're going to explain to you how payment and billing works. What is your responsibilities in terms of submitting bills? What is their responsibility in terms of making payment? There's also a section called independent contractor, and it discusses liability and indemnification. In this contract, it's in Section 7. There'll always be a section that talks about exclusivity or non-exclusivity, whether you're the only provider in the network or if there's lots of other ones, and how that's governed. There's always a section called term and termination or something close to that. In this contract, it's Section 9. This clause governs how you can terminate the contract and how they can terminate the contract. Most contracts will have a section called general provisions or something close to that. This one it's in Section 10. Make sure you read all of these clauses, all of these paragraphs. The one that is really important is the clause that identifies notices, what your address is, what their address is. Be sure you keep that up to date in the event that you move during the term of a contract. This is the address they're going to send official notifications to. Be sure you keep it up to date. Every contract, of course, has a signature page. Be sure the person that is authorized to sign contracts on your behalf signs this contract. There may be multiple pages within a contract that need to be signed. Be sure that you make sure that you sign everything, you date it properly, and you send it back to them. And of course, every contract has a rate page. The rate page can be kind of complicated. It depends on the contract. There might be carve-outs. There might be different rates for different products. Be sure you understand how it works. This is a page that you're going to want to pay particular attention to, and you might want to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you don't understand how you're going to get paid, then you're not going to have a good contract. Every contract's a little bit different. It may be structured a little bit different. They may be organized a little bit different. No big deal. They all contain these basic provisions. One piece of advice: if you have questions, ask. Contracts can be a little bit intimidating. Don't be intimidated. If you have a question, ask the provider representative. That's why they're there. They're there to explain it to you. Ask them questions. Make sure you get good answers. Make sure that you understand these contracts.